very much. Good morning, everyone. A little bit sweatier than I imagined I would be, having tried, I think, 3 laptops to get the presentations working. And also, I'm doing something I've never done before, which is a presentation where I'm pointing at somebody to press the button, and I'm just hopeful that he can keep up. My name is Peter Fleming. I am a soulless ginger, but I'm also, that was a point, Deputy Chair at a local government association. Hey! I'm going to leave you off. So notes, District Council, a town that is not ready for sushi. I describe Sevenoaks as the Switzerland of local government, and it's not because it's full of bankers. It is full of bankers, but that's not the reason. We are surrounded on 4 sides by 4 Kentish authorities, an East Sussex and a Surrey authority and 2 London authorities. So it's not just sushi that we don't have in Sevenoaks. We are one of 15 councils in the country that no longer receive government grant. We are also the only council in the country which is self-sufficient. We don't need government grant to provide the services we provide to our residents, visitors and citizens, whichever one you wish to call yourself. But it's an experiment because the government doesn't really know what's going to happen when 150 councils join us. Yay! And that is going to be a problem. These 150 councils, many of them are not. Whoa. That's just rebellion. I'm not ready to have their government grant completely taken away. And these aren't. This isn't the grant for adult social care or children's services. This is the grant that pays for things like refuse collection and street cleaning. So it's a big, big issue facing local government. But I believe it's time for a rebellion. And that is a rebellion. This is one of my friends. This guy is Jack Cade. You won't have heard of Jack Cade. He led a revolution, the Jack Cade Rebellion, in the 1400s against an all-centralising king, King Henry VI of England. He did quite well. He got as far as cutting the head off the treasurer to the king, and then he lost his own head. So that's not so good. But his main battle, was fought in Sevenoaks, and I hope that a bit of that rebellious spirit remains. This is what Shakespeare described people from Kent as. The filth and scum of Kent. And, I'm proud of that. I have that tattooed across my heart. I'm proud to be from that. And for those of you from Yorkshire, Jack Cade was a friend of the Yorkists as well. So it's not just you lot that are awkward. Moving forward 200 years, this is the Glorious Revolution, which brought in parliamentary democracy as we know it. But of course we don't have a written constitution, a massive problem for this country, one of the only parliamentary democracies that doesn't have a written constitution, and this is a problem for all of us. But Brexit, which is a bad thing, could possibly also be a good thing. Unfortunately, I get the feeling that the powers that are going to come back to us are going to get stuck somewhere, and we can all guess where that is. Westminster! Well done! Top marks. And actually what we need to do is we need to make sure that those powers and responsibilities flow through and back to local authorities and local people. So we can't have it stuck in this place. And although I'm only 30 kilometres from Westminster and you're nearly 300 kilometres from Westminster, for both of us Westminster is another planet. It doesn't speak to what we want for our communities. But Parliament has tried loads and loads of things. So anyone remember Cameron's Big Society? Yeah. Then we had our friend Eric. This is Eric Pickles and his muscular localism. So muscular localism, for anyone who doesn't remember it, was where you call it localism, but you direct it from Westminster. It's a brilliant idea. The fact that parliamentary politicians don't like the idea of a postcode lottery, they hate the idea of difference, around the country, and as soon as councils try and do something different, that becomes a massive problem. They talk about us like we're something like the Vicar of Dibley's parish council meetings, and of course actually many councils have £1 billion budgets, which wasn't great when Grant Shapps, another favourite of mine, called council leaders glorified scout leaders. I have to say that went down particularly well. And the idea that big is beautiful, and I'll come on to that in a few seconds. We are, in local government, however much we believe that we are local, are really just agents of the state. Most of the things that we do are directed by somebody else. We can play around the margins of it, but in reality, in this country, most things are set by statute and by law. And it's a parental relationship. You know, they tell us off. I get letters from ministers telling me off for not doing something or choosing to do something differently. We are the most centralised country in the world apart from North Korea. If I was a leader of a council in China, obviously I'd need to be a little bit careful, but I would have more autonomy than I do in this country. I would have more opportunities to do things for my local area than I do in this country. How can that be right? Because all politics is local. And I'm sure that there are politicians in the room, and it doesn't matter what doorstep you are on. People talk about rubbish. They don't talk about Polaris. They talk about potholes and planning. They don't talk about international aid. People believe and want to talk about the things that affect them when they open the door. The things that you see when you open the door are the things that affect your quality of life, your family's quality of life, and your friends' quality of life. And that should be directed by people locally that are representing you. Occasionally, stories about local government make it into the national press. And the big one at the moment is adult social care. And I think probably adult social care has had more airtime than any other local government issue that I can remember. But actually, the biggest issue... Oh, sorry, that wasn't me pointing. The biggest issue facing upper tier authorities, in fact, isn't adult social care. It's children's services. And this is the big cost that is not talked about. About 70p in every pound in council tax that you pay is spent on less than 5% of the population. Just let that sink in. 70p in every pound of council tax you pay is spent on less than 5% of the population. And that percentage is reducing. So that's to be continued. Whoa, that is really bright. Just one sec. Thank you. But they're trying to control us. And the way that they control us, whilst giving the illusion that they're giving power to local people, is in things like mayoral elections. This is the West Midlands mayor. He covers 5.5 million people. If that was in the United States, that would be the second largest city in the United States after New York. This is Greater Manchester. Greater Manchester, nearly 3 million people. That would be in the top 10 cities in the United States, but with none of the powers that mayors or leaders in those areas would have. And just to illustrate, this is my favourite slide. So Scotland, population 5.4 million, 32 councillors, just over 1,000 councillors. Denmark, which has just reduced the number of councils it has to 98. Population of 5.7, nearly 3,000 councillors. And decisions made absolutely hyper-locally. Decisions around benefits, around welfare payments, around energy, around water, around all of those things are made really, really locally. And the state is just there for those big, overarching things. These two guys, you won't know them. Does anybody know who this chap is? No? I don't think you would. So the guy on the left, on my right, on your left, is the mayor of Birmingham, Alabama, population 200,000 people. The chap on the right is the leader of Birmingham City Council, the largest council in Europe. And I doubt anyone in the room could name him.
You what?
Oh, well, apart from you. But what would Joseph Chamberlain make of that? At a time when, during the Victorian era, local government, municipal government was doing real things for real people. It was bringing water, it was bringing electricity, it was raising people up, it was giving people ambition for their futures. What would he think of the parlous state of local government at the moment? But in the middle of every difficulty is opportunity. The financial way that councils are funded is completely broken. What if we decided to do things completely differently and we allowed councils to go their own way, to actually make decisions locally about what matters to local people? And that might mean that some councils on a certain scale fall behind and some go forward much quicker. But actually, is that a bad thing? Why are we scared of difference? Why don't we actually celebrate difference? Why don't we have more unicorns in local government? Why do we care about a postcode lottery? My town is not the same as Huddersfield. Why should I provide the same services as are needed in Huddersfield? They're not the same services that are needed in Sevenoaks. So difference is really at the core of what I'm talking about. The choice around how often you pick up your bins, whether you have those services in-house or outsourced. The wants and needs of your population should be absolutely at the heart of what local authorities do. We should be able to abandon things that are not needed anymore in our local authority areas and actually do new things that we perhaps haven't been able to do in the past. I love this quote. This is from the Cirque du Soleil. How can people tell what they want if they haven't seen it before? If we ask them what they want, we'll end up doing Swan Lake every year. The reality is we all have a responsibility to go out there and show what is possible, not just the same thing done in a slightly different way. And actually, as politicians, and I'm a politician myself, we have to take responsibility. We have to stand up and talk about the importance of democracy and the importance of difference. But there are risks. There is risk of failure, and actually we need to embrace that. Anybody know what flag that is? That's the flag of Detroit. Anyone on this one? Northamptonshire. Both of them are basically bankrupt. The difference is, in America, Detroit is being reborn. It's gone through the pain of bankruptcy and is actually reforming itself as a new city. In this country, an inspector has gone to Northamptonshire, and what is the solution? The solution is to get rid of all of the district councils that are in Northamptonshire, not people that caused the problem in the first place, and end up with 2 unitary authorities, reducing the amount of councils, not increasing them, reducing the amount of people that are involved, not increasing them, reducing the linkages to local communities, not increasing them. What a terrible, terrible way to look at local government. This is Peter Bone. He's an idiot. He is also an MP. He's also an MP in Northamptonshire, and his solution to the crisis, and Ed, you'll particularly like this one, was to bring back the committee system, because we all know that that was a really good way of making decisions. So this is my final bit. We are Notwestminster. We together are Notwestminster. We come from various parts of the country, and I'm setting a challenge for you today. It takes a touch of genius, that's me, and a lot of courage, that's you, to move in the opposite direction to the way that we're going at the moment. We need to questioning local government. We need an evolving local government. We need an exciting local government. And most importantly, we need an independent local government. Revolution.